we're going to see Tamar Rogoff. And Tamar is from New York, and her family on her father's side was from Ivya. And Ivya is a small shtetl about maybe like a 2-hour drive from Vilna on the Belarus side of the border now, but of course originally all of this was inside what was Lithuania, independent Lithuania at the time. And she read her father's diaries and had her father's films from when he visited Ivya in the 30s, because he was going to med school in Switzerland. He was American, and he went to see his uncle, who's still living in Ivya. So he had all these reports about the community and all these details and home movies. And then of that community, I think something like 30 of her relatives were killed in the woods right outside the town. And I think of the town of something like 1,200 of them were shot in the woods. So Tamar has decided to take her money from dancing in the streets to create the site-specific dance, theater, music piece in the woods where the massacre took place in Ivya. So we meet the company in Vilna, where they're rehearsing in the opera company, in the opera house. And Tamar, who is a couple years older than me, I'm 60 right now, so maybe she's 70 now. I'm not quite sure how much older she is than me, but she's older. And she's a director, and she's a choreographer, and she has this vision. And she's she's somebody I get. She's an artist from New York. Totally understand that. And she's taking this vision and making it happen in Ivya. And Ivya is now a small town in Belarus with maybe 5,000 or 10,000 people. And she's got so much money. She's got hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is an enormous amount of money for Belarus. And she's set up an entire summer workshop with the town. And she has invited artists to be in this production who are from Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, the United States, Ukraine, Russia, Australia, like all over the world. And she invites them to come take place. And she's got musicians, dancers, actors, set designers, costume, everything. And she hires all the local people to cook for us, right? So there's this production. There's like 50 people in the show, like performers, and then 100, it's like an enormous thing. And we're all set up like in the elementary school, and we're there, and my wife and I, when we drive over the border, we're in Vilna first, and we're like kind of meet them there, and then we're getting on the bus, and we go over the border to Belarus, and we have to bring all our water because it's right after Chernobyl, so everything is radioactive, and we have to bring our own, all kinds of things. And we go to Lida, which is where we're staying in this like kind of Soviet awful hotel, and it, really these countries have been independent for 10 seconds. And you feel Stalin and the Soviet Union and all over the place. And Lida's a like 20-minute, half an hour drive from Ivya, but we're staying in Lida and we go to Ivya every day. And it's magical, like it's absolutely magical. I meet the music director there, Frank London. So that's the first time. I was like, I'm meeting this guy, he's really cool, he's my age, we talk. And so I said, what do you do? So I'm play klezmer. Like, great. And he said, what group are you in? He said, oh, probably you've heard of us, like the Klezmatics. And I said, who? I'd never heard of the Klezmatics. I'd heard of Brave Old World, but I hadn't heard of him. He was, I think, a little disappointed. Really? You haven't heard of us? He was the music director, and met him and his wife Tina were there, and we just bonded. And then Tamar is masterful, and she created a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece in the woods that was contemporary, that was incredibly smart, that was everything a piece of art can do. It pushed your boundaries, and it was a site-specific piece. All the people who came, and people came from all over Eastern Europe. There were, people came on trains from Minsk and from St. Petersburg. I mean, people came to this show. It was on the media all over the Eastern Europe at the time. And, maybe 150 people at a time could experience it. And I think I saw the show 5 times. And you would wear a sheet. If you were an attendee, you wore a sheet to distinguish yourself from the performers who all were dressed in normal clothes. And we were in the woods and we moved through. And the action took place in Yiddish, in English, in Russian, in Polish, in all these different things. And it was musical, and it was this celebration of life. It was all about the magic of this community and the magic of their lives. And of course, you knew that all these people were dead. I mean, there were survivors from Ivya in the piece. And it was incredibly powerful. I remember feeling like moving up to this, we would go to the rehearsals and everybody was dressed as Jews. And we would walk through town. And people would say, there, the Jews are here. And we got into all these conversations, literally with the townspeople, about the Jews are back and what did it mean? And who knew who? And there was still an older couple who lived in this house, like a shtetl house, like I would have seen in a book that I studied about, and it was all in color. I felt I was on an acid trip because I went to their house, I spoke to them in Yiddish, there was a wooden floor, kind of a radio, and it was like being in 1890, but they were still there. They had come back. So there were a lot of people from Ivya. There was a man from Australia who came back, and there were people who, she brought all this, it was an amazing healing moment too, like an incredible moment. And it happened over and over again, and every time it happened, it was magic. And I just realized, just giant light bulb, like this is the way to bring Yiddish to Los Angeles, to bring Yiddish to the world. Actually, we need to work through contemporary artists because they know how to take this culture and make it part of make it part of our lives right now. Make it relevant, make it real. Translate it for us in a way that we can't understand. I had never felt Yiddish to be as vital and as relevant as that moment being with Tamar in the woods in Belarus. And so I came back with this giant light bulb that I'm going to create, because I know how to create festivals, I know how to work with contemporary artists, this is what I know how to do. Like, that's what we're going to do.